Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/AITA or r/AmITheA Ahole. AITA for not attending my sister's baby shower. I live about 3 hours from my family, although it might as well be on the other side of the moon. Last year, my sister got married, and I traveled home for her bridal shower, her wedding, my grandpa's birthday, and a cousin's graduation. My family traveled to me for nothing. They missed birthday parties, a grand opening that was important to me, and have yet to meet my fourth child, who will turn 9 months old next week. I did take my son to meet his great-grandfather when he was a few months old, but my sister and cousins and aunts have never met him. My sister is pregnant and her baby shower is back home in a couple weeks. Am I an a-hole for not going? She's a teacher who has been off school since May and could have visited during Christmas or spring break, but chose not to. She also missed her goddaughter, my third daughter's, birthday party last spring. The shower is on a weekend I'm scheduled to work, and I really don't care to take time off and drive 6 hours to go to a party filled with people who have shown they can't or won't do the same for me. Am I the a-hole? I honestly don't understand everyone's obsessions with being at every single little party that's thrown. 6 hours is a long drive. Okay, 3 hours one way, 3 hours the other way, but like, it's a miracle to see half of my family if they have to drive half an hour. So for these people to want you to come to every little thing, I don't know. Is this her first baby though? Like, I know that can kind of be a whole thing, but honestly, I've missed a few baby showers in my time of my family and friends. Not to say that that's like the best thing in the world to do, but basically what I'm saying is, obviously they don't seem to care that much to come travel for you. And if you're already scheduled to work, I'd go with probably not. I mean, it's not gonna help your relationship, but AITA, if I cut my dad off until he apologizes. My dad is the type of person that criticizes everything. If he doesn't like something, he thinks that his taste is the only taste that matters. I went on a city break in Berlin and I was excited. He wanted some pics and I sent him one with me, and immediately he started to say that I dressed like a parrot and like an autistic 8-year-old kid, and that is why I don't have any boyfriends, because I scare the cool boys off. Needless to say that I dress normally. I was excited before that to experience this new culture, and suddenly I felt like crap. So I replied that this is not a normal thing to say and to keep it for himself. And he got angry and said that he is entitled to criticize me because I am his kid and to endure it. So we kept arguing back and forth, and I said to him that I showed his replies to my friends and they said that this is not normal. And he answered something along these lines. They are crappy friends because they agree with you just to look good in front of you. In that moment, I said that he doesn't know crap, and I blocked him on WhatsApp. I said to my mom, if he doesn't try to be civil and respectful, I won't talk with him, and if he doesn't care, I don't give a crap. So, AITA, if I cut him off until he apologizes and doesn't do crap like this anymore? I mean, I personally have a pretty low opinion of people who use autism in any way as a derogatory kind of manner, and for them to say that you look like a parrot or like an autistic 8-year-old, like, that really just tells me that your dad kind of is a sucky person, just my personal opinion. And also that this is why you don't have boyfriends and stuff like that. That's not okay to say. I don't think it's wrong because otherwise he's just gonna keep on treating you like that, and I don't think that's okay. So I hope that you enjoyed your trip despite your dad being a jerk, and I hope that you are able to live your life despite your dad sometimes being a jerk. Like, I get we have family and stuff, but that doesn't mean that we should let people treat us like trash. Now, this next one is a viewer submission that was sent to the email. They requested to remain anonymous. Note, English is not my first language, and I am not on mobile, so... The cast. F is friend, who is female. Me, 3 guesses who. Kids, 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them under the age of 12 at the time, and at least 2 of them are special needs. Backstory. Recently, F has been in a messy divorce and living as a single mother. She has started dating again and was asked out by a guy she met on a dating website. She couldn't tell her parents yet, and I was the only one who knew. Since 2 of her kids are special needs, and I know all of the kids since they were born, she asked me to babysit for the night, which was Saturday. I agreed, as I had a ritual with the eldest 2 that as soon as the youngest were in bed, they would have my undivided attention and we would host our own pajama party, aka movie night or game night. During the divorce, they would frequently be asked to assist their mom with extra chores, and this would be a night where they could just be kids and be doing something with an adult which they wanted, so it was rather important to them. As we would do this in holidays or on a Friday or Saturday night, bedtimes for them would be very flexible. So here's the story. I arrived just as the kids had had their dinner. My friend told me where they were going. She didn't specify when she would be back. I assumed it would be around 3 a.m. as she told me he was a DJ and would be working until at least 1 a.m. I presumed she would help him clean up his stuff and then come straight home. The night went smoothly. The younger ones went to bed a little after their regular bedtimes so they could wish their mom good luck as she was leaving, and the older ones and me had a blast playing GTA something and watching a movie. After the movie, they also went to bed, and I sent my friend a text to tell her all the kids were safely in bed and to check how her date was going. I didn't expect an answer, and my expectation was met. It was just past 10:30 p.m., so I wasn't worried. Around 1 a.m., I saw a friend had received my message, but hadn't read it yet. Since I was getting a little tired and bored, I got a little frustrated. My solace was that the kids were fast asleep. I cuddled up on the couch with the dog and tried to snooze away, telling myself that when 3 o'clock came around, she would be home. 3 a.m. Nothing had changed, message not read, friend not home, hadn't snoozed a minute. I called my friend to check where she was. 4 a.m. No change, except increasing worry because I didn't hear from her. 5 a.m. Same as the hour before, called another couple of times. 6 a.m. Message read, not home, no answer, no snooze. 7 a.m. Answer, all text. Hey, just got your message. I'm going to go home with him and get some sleep. See you in a couple of hours. If you want to get some sleep, just go into my bed. Me being super cranky after having not slept a minute and expecting the youngest to wake up within the next hour. How much sleep did you think I got waiting for you? Could you please come home ASAP? Message delivered, not read. At 8 a.m., the kids start to wake up one by one. Me being cranky, I got the younger ones dressed and got them breakfast. I told the older ones to fix themselves something while I got myself some coffee to keep me going. 10 a.m. Message. Hey, just saw your message. I think I'll be home around noon. I have so much to tell you. I let the kids do their own thing, and being tired when one of the younger ones asked me to fix them something, my reply was, just let one of your older brothers fix you that. 12:30 p.m. My friend comes home, happy as a clam. She started to tell me all about the date and what they had done during the rest of the night. She told me she really lost track of time and she only realized the time when they were in the car to his house. At 1 p.m. I started to pack up my stuff to go home and try to get some rest. Couldn't you please stay a little? I have loads to tell you. I answered, being a major pushover. Well, make it quick. I'm super tired. My friend rattles away. Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but I didn't sleep a minute. The kids were amazing last night. Babe, you should have just gotten into my bed if you were so tired. I told you to get into my bed. Yeah, about 30 minutes before the kids started to wake up. Why didn't you message me earlier that you were going someplace else? I thought you went clubbing till 1 a.m. and figured you would be home by 3 at the latest. Oh, sorry, but I had fun. Am I the a-hole for just wanting a message with the time you're coming home while I'm babysitting your kids? People have told me I should have gone home and should have left the kids. I could have if it wasn't for my mama bear mode that kicks in with these kids. I'm watching them grow up and could never just up and leave them alone at night without adult supervision when they are under my care. Yeah, so I don't think you're an a-hole for wanting to know what time someone would be home when you're watching their kids. So I don't, especially when she has the audacity to leave at night and come back like noon the next day. Was there some sort of agreement that decided that this was like an unlimited watching her kids kind of thing? It's frustrating. I don't agree that you should just like up and leave her kids just because that I don't think that'd be a good idea for the kids themselves personally, but yeah, that's really annoying. I think if you ever did that again, I would definitely ask her what time she'd be home, and if she didn't know, then, you know, so work something else differently, if that makes sense. So I guess this is one of those, like, you live and learn kind of situations, but yeah, don't think you're the a-hole for wanting to know what time someone's gonna be home. Am I the a-hole for thinking it's inappropriate for a medical school student to be wearing leggings and a crop top to class? Disclaimer, asking for a friend who does not have Reddit. My friend is currently in her second year of medical school, and they recently had a class regarding professional conduct and attire. She was hanging out with her colleagues and mentioned that it was unprofessional for one of their classmates to be dressed in leggings and a crop top. Her classmates disagreed and said that it's totally okay for people to dress this way as long as they aren't seeing patients. But my friend's logic is that they are in a professional setting and represent the school and should therefore dress accordingly when on campus. So Reddit, is she the a-hole for thinking this? Alright, so here's my take on it. I'm literally about to be going to college and I'm super stressed about it. Might affect how I do my videos in the future, just a heads up guys. And here's the deal, I do not plan on being fancy when I go to class. I'm there to learn and to study, and that's it. So if you're concerned about me wearing uncomfortable clothes because you don't like it, that's dumb in my opinion. Now, if part of their class caused them, as they said, you know, to see a patient or be in a setting that required you to be wearing professional clothes and stuff like that, then they might have an argument, but they're just in the classroom. They're in the classroom. It's not, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Am I the a-hole for trying to show my housemate what sleep deprivation feels like? So I, 21 female, got a new housemate, early 20s male, recently in the student house we live in. He just moved in a month or so ago. The second week he was here, he had his friends over at every single night from about 10:30 to past 12, usually 1 a.m. That week, I got incredibly sleep deprived. I'm an incredibly light sleeper, so I just can't sleep if I hear noise. And we share a really thin wall, so I can hear everything. So each night I had to stay awake until his friends left, and a lot of the time I had to work the next day, which ended up in me having to leave work early one of my shifts as I just couldn't function. I can't fall asleep to music as it's too noisy, and my excellent noise-canceling headphones can't even block him out, though I'm not playing music when I wear them, so obviously they don't work remotely as well. After that week of no sleep, I asked him if we could compromise. Maybe he could cut down on having friends over, and on the nights he did, he could let me know and I would sleep over at my boyfriend's that night. He was actually incredibly apologetic, which I appreciated, and said he had no idea it was affecting me so badly. Except the thing is, he's still pretty loud after 10:30 into all hours of the night. He's not playing music or anything, but yet again, he has friends over loudly chatting. They got here at 9:30, still here at 11, and it's a work day tomorrow. He also didn't tell me they were going to come over, so I didn't get the chance to organize going over to my boyfriend's. One of the things I got really annoyed about was when I talked to him about it, I tried to empathize and said I'm sure he could hear me all the time as well, and it was just a terrible wall. Except he said he actually couldn't hear me pretty much 99% of the time. I put a lot of effort into being considerate of noise from my room. I don't have friends over past 10:30 generally ever, sometimes have them over drinking, but we go out clubbing at 10. If I watch TV in the evening or night, I wear my headphones, etc. This guy woke me up this morning with his alarm that went over for 15 minutes. So every time he brings friends around, I start playing music. I'm paranoid of affecting the other housemates, however, as they're nice people. So I've checked the volume is low enough it doesn't go to their side of the house. But I'm assuming he can't be missing it with how thin our wall is. And considering that I can't sleep for hours after his friends go, I've been keeping it on as if my sleep is disrupted. I want to show him the same courtesy. Be honest, am I the a-hole for doing this? I'm sleep deprived as I write this, so definitely could be. Edit. Playing the music is also because I really want him to understand how thin the wall is and to know that if he can hear my low volume music this clearly, I can hear him talking right now. Just to clarify. Edit 2. My house is rented primarily to students, so our realtor has extra clauses in our contract, specifically relating to noise between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Hence why I was so careful with my noise, should have clarified. A reason I picked this place was because I did think it would be a great environment, as noisy houses would do me in. Okay, so I feel like you might be trying to engage in some petty revenge. I don't know if that makes you an a-hole, but I really have a sneaky suspicion that you might be more sensitive to noise than your roommate. So some people actually are capable of hearing maybe better or sensitive to sounds and not as good at blocking them out. And so it's possible that you're hearing more than he is. So like when he had said that maybe he didn't really hear you ever on the other side of the thin wall, that it is a possibility that maybe, you know, you're more sensitive, so he might not he might not realize that he has friends talking loudly and stuff like that. He might actually be trying to be considerate and just not realizing it. Now, of course, he should have, per your guys' recent verbal agreement, he should have told you that he had friends coming over and stuff like that. I don't really think you're an a-hole, but I don't know that this is actually going to like get you what you want. Would I be the a-hole for telling off a coworker after he disclosed personal information about me to my colleagues? After graduating university, I, 21 female, recently landed a dream position in my city. It's a white-collar job in a finance type of industry, and I never thought I'd be working in a place like this. I've been at the job for about 8 weeks now, and during this time, I've learned to blend in, per se. The folks in my workplace come from an entirely different background than me. Most are incredibly wealthy due to generational wealth, and they got their job through nepotism, networking, etc. I'm one of the only folks who actually got into this company through merit alone. I had absolutely no connections here prior to working. My background is less privileged than my coworkers. I can't afford to live in my city alone, so my partner, 21 male, and I split a small studio outside of city limits to make it work. I'm focusing on paying off my student debt and building wealth right now, so I can't indulge in many trips or outings with my coworkers. To get to the point, I've been telling white lies by omission at work. When people ask me where I live, I tell them I live in a small studio by myself. I have no interest in my coworkers knowing intimate details about my living arrangements or my personal life, and I feel like telling them I live with my boyfriend will be an opportunity for them to think less of me. My workplace is a very traditional, socially conservative space, and I'm worried that I'll be taken less seriously should my bosses find out that I'm a scrappy kid with a live-in boyfriend. My coworkers know I have a boyfriend, but I like to keep my personal life separate, so I don't provide them with many details. They don't know that we live together. The other day at work, an acquaintance of mine who works in accounting came up to me while I was eating lunch with my coworkers and interns. He nonchalantly mentioned that he was filing paperwork and noticed that my emergency contact, my partner, shared the same address as me and that he knows I don't live alone in my studio. He also remarked that I must be paying way less than he thought I did in rent since I'm sharing a space. I was blown away that he said this in public. Those forms are confidential for a reason, and I felt very uncomfortable being put on the spot during my lunch. I then had to launch into a long spiel about me and my boyfriend, which made me very uncomfortable. I really don't like to divulge more personal information than necessary, and I'm trying to start off on the right foot at this company. Would I be the a-hole if I spoke to him in private about this? I feel like he violated my privacy by bringing up my address and living situation in public, especially since he found out about it through confidential forms he was filing at work. I don't want to damage my working relationship with this person, but now I don't trust them with my personal info. Edit. I misspoke in my title. I have no intentions of telling him off and making a scene. The question is better worded as, would I be the a-hole if I politely spoke to him in private about this violation of my privacy? Edit 2. Regarding my desire to not make my living situation public. I just don't want people to know I live with my boyfriend at 21. While this is very normal socially, it is frowned upon by many people in my office. People adhere to a very strict social code. Read, they're very old money traditional. They are openly socially conservative in every way and make it known in the workplace. And living with a significant other is frowned upon. Many of the people who hold negative opinions about this are also the same people that can help me advance my career. I have photos of me and my significant other on my desk, and I don't hesitate to talk about him when situationally appropriate, so I'm not ashamed of him in the slightest. To clarify, lies by omission means basically lying by not including information. So by saying that you live in a studio by yourself, you're not lying by omission, but simply lying. Just to clarify, I know that that is not a comfortable feeling for you. You probably don't really want to face the fact that you are legitimately lying to your coworkers. I understand you feel super uncomfortable, maybe out of place and like you don't belong. And you know, I don't know what it's like. Maybe you have to do what you have to do to be able to get anywhere in that kind of situation. I don't know. As to whether you would be the a-hole for speaking to them in private, I don't think so, because quite frankly, that is private information, and for them to be like, hey, I was looking through private paperwork and noticed that this private information was on here, and let me bring it up in front of everyone. That is not okay. That is very unprofessional. But I almost wonder if this coworker kind of enjoyed maybe catching you in a lie. Obviously he shouldn't have done that, but at the same time, when you like lie about things, people kind of sometimes can find joy in trapping you in those lies. So I just don't like the situation overall, personally. Am I the a-hole for failing a student that I teach who had her final postponed because of the death of an immediate family member for failing to respond to my emails for the retake? Back in May, a student of mine emailed me 2 days before when her final was scheduled. Her twin brother passed away early that night due to the negligence of a drunk driver. She said that she does not think she would be able to take the final and asked if she would be able to reschedule it. I sent my condolences and let her know that she could have as much time as she needed and that I will get in touch with her later in the summer. Due to administrative policies, Friday was the deadline to submit extended deadline grades. I told her she could take the test as late as July 16th if she wanted a grade for the semester. Alternatively, I could give her an incomplete, which is essentially the grade of could not complete the class for extenuating circumstances. Lastly, she could apply for a leave of absence and would be able to complete the final when she returns. She thanked me and told me she will get back to me with her preference soon. I emailed her again 3 days later and asked if she had a preference regarding what to do for her final. She didn't respond, so I emailed her again on June 24th, July 1st, July 8th, July 12th, and July 15th. I also mailed a letter to her place of residency that essentially said the same thing and left a voicemail on her cell phone. She failed to reply to any of my means of communication, including the ones that told her that without a response, I would be forced to give her a 0 for the final, which was worth 50% of her final grade. In order to qualify for an incomplete, she would have to sign a form and have it looked at by both the professor, me, and her faculty advisor. The leave of absence is a student disability services policy, so I couldn't do anything without her going through them. Because she did not get back to me, I submitted a 0 for her final and she failed the class. I told my husband this morning about what happened. He is also a professor at the same university, and he was completely aghast. He told me I should have just made the final not count towards calculation for her final grade, or just say she got a passing grade on the exam. That would mean I would have to essentially lie, which I was worried because it would have looked suspicious if her professor said she was similarly irresponsive to their emails. He told me the other professors probably waived her final completely, and what I did was morally reprehensible. He works in a different department, so he's used to having a lot more freedom regarding the grading scheme, but my hands were tied. We fought, and he's insistent that I should have done more to help her. I get his perspective, but the fact is that she plainly did not respond to my messages. I did what I could, but he thinks I should have just lied and hope I didn't get caught. Am I in the wrong for failing her? It's really rough because that girl just lost her twin. Should she have gotten back to her professor? Absolutely. And it's not like the professor didn't reach out a lot. and through multiple types of means. But the way that her husband is talking is that there could have been a, I guess, not lying kind of legal way to go about it, like to waive it or to say that it didn't really count toward her final grade. The whole idea of saying she passed it when she didn't would have been really, in my opinion, a bad idea. Could have gotten her into a lot of trouble, in my opinion. I don't understand how him being in a different department somehow makes it like more lenient there, but I also don't know how the inner workings of colleges work and stuff like that. I don't know how to feel about this one, so I'm gonna say the dreaded words. What do you guys think? Am I the a-hole for getting my best friend removed from our grad school research group? Last year, I got into a 3-year grad school program where people both complete individual assignments and participate in group research. I was picked to join an elite research group on a niche topic in our field, humanities, with 2 second years, Brian and Sabrina, placed under the supervision of one of the leading experts in that field. I quickly became close friends with Sabrina, who was passionate about the field, her career, and a devout Christian, traits we have in common. She took me to her church and faith group, and we talked about basically everything under the sun. In winter, Sabrina started to withdraw. She struggled focusing on her work, lost a lot of weight quickly, and behaved out of character. She told me she was concerned about her solo research paper that was due by the end of the school year. About a week before that paper was due, Sabrina finally broke down to me and confided in me that she had been diagnosed with a mental illness that she couldn't get good treatment for under her insurance, and how much it crushed her to see how her condition got into her way of working. This is where it got difficult. Her bad work in her group also affected my career prospects, and I felt that I couldn't continue working with her knowing she would not recover quickly. I met up with Brian and our group advisor, shared what I learned, and we all agreed that it would be our best course of action to replace Sabrina so she could get back on her feet. Because I had to leave right after that meeting to go to my sister's destination wedding, we decided that Brian would inform Sabrina the day after she handed in her thesis. When I returned from the wedding, I saw that Sabrina had been blowing up my phone for days. Apparently, Brian didn't muster the courage to tell her, so Sabrina had to learn about being replaced by her successor's Facebook update. Her personal advisor learned about her condition from our supervisor and refused to continue to work with her. She had to come out to her parents about her struggles, and they were less than understanding. I tried to console her and prayed with her, but she got even angrier and hung up on me. I still saw her as my best friend, but she never returned my calls and texts and refused to speak to me at church and faith group, despite me continuing to try. After some weeks, she kind of disappeared, took time off from school, and quit the church. No one heard from her for a while until a faith group girl saw her working a retail job in the city last week. Apparently, she lost even more weight and had given up any ambition to ever work in our field. This concerned me. I texted her and Sabrina answered, "That is none of your business. Don't contact me again. You ruined my life." Now I feel crappy. I don't want to get friendship in the way of my career, but does that make me the a-hole? I feel like that last line, "I don't want to get friendship in the way of my career," really should be something that you think about having said. What kind of person does that show you to be? It sounds to me that you're willing to throw everyone and everything under the bus for your career, and I understand that it's very important to you, but it's really scary that you ended that with, "I don't want to get friendship in the way of my career." There are some things that are more important than the things that get us money, and I think that in this situation with your group, it could have possibly made you look a little bad. Possibly. That wasn't even a guarantee. It wasn't like it was going to cause you to fail. It wasn't like you would have to completely lose everything you've worked for. It just meant that you might not look as good as you wanted to because of a group project. Because of that, you outed your friend's mental illness problems to a group of people who think similarly to you, in which they would rather look better than work with someone who might not be working as well as they used to. And you let her private information be shared with your friends and an advisor, and then I get it, you weren't able to be there for it because of a wedding and everything, but basically after outing her to everybody, in her private situation, you were like, oh, whoopsie, I guess all these people are jerks too, and couldn't face her and won't work with her, and basically shunned her out of her own field. By the way, that career that you love so much, she was looking for too. Yeah, I don't know, I kind of feel like, yeah, you are the a-hole in this situation, and I think it is something you should care about. Trying to console her and pray for her after you outed her to them because you were worried you might look bad. Yeah, I would be angry with you too. Just saying. I don't think you're probably ever going to be able to reconcile that relationship, honestly, unless if something miraculous happens. That was a little harsh. Let's go ahead and end the video here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts about all of these in the comments below. If you're interested in sending me something to include in a video, you can send it to ksanonymous@gmail.com. Also, I do have a Patreon, and on the screen right now are patrons who are face palmers and up. Thank you all so much for supporting me. I love you guys so much. And if you want to become a patron, you can go ahead and check out my link in the description box. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!